So the reason I inspire, the reason I try to encourage, I want people to realize their full potential. The only way that can be realized is by the individual reaching their full potential. Like the reason that we became the strongest, most powerful, most successful country on the planet is because of the individual.
You're listening to the Kristof Lewis podcast, a podcast where I have conversations with inspirational people. My name is Chris, but my family calls me Kristof. My goal is to have as many conversations as possible with people who have forged their own path by pursuing their dreams, making them a reality, all the while emitting positivity and sharing this knowledge with others. I seek these people out and share this information with you, proving to the world that you can do what makes you happy and do what you want for a living while being a good human being. We'll talk about careers, but we'll also cover any story that inspires. Let's do this while helping each other. Thanks for listening. I'm happy you're here. What's up, my friends? Welcome to the Kristof Lewis podcast. This is conversation number 72, and I'm so excited that you're here. My guest today is the one and only Mr. Tim Kennedy, and I was absolutely honored and humbled to speak with him. I'm just absolutely intrigued by all of the things that he's done in his life and his careers up until this point. Yes, careers. Typically, I focus on one career transition. He's done so many things, so I was very interested in kind of prying into his mind about all of those things. So I hope you enjoy our conversation and know that you can find this conversation and all other things podcast on KristofLewis.com. And you can find me on Instagram at Kristof Lewis. So without further ado, welcome to the Kristof Lewis podcast.
What's up?
What's going on, man? It's like I was telling you, it's an absolute honor. It's an absolute pleasure to be speaking with you. And I really just appreciate you taking the time out of your day to talk to me.
It is an equal honor. Thanks for your service. Thanks for everything that you do.
Yeah, thanks.
I'm gonna pop my phone up on a wasp and hornet killer.
This is awesome. This is very good. This is very good. Man, that looks good. That looks great. Nobody would ever be the wiser. But you're a man who needs no introduction at all. I mean, gosh, you're so many things. You're an entrepreneur. You're obviously Green Beret, went through Ranger School, went through Airborne as well. I saw that. I got to experience that myself. It was not the best time I've ever had. And I just love that you pretty much do whatever you want. And I'm all about like encouraging people to do what they want in life. I shouldn't say whatever you want, just what you care about. You know, what you really care about, what you want to do, and like showing people that it's just possible. And that's what I'm all about. So for people, I just want to do a real quick hyper introduction in your own words, but maybe like 30 seconds. But how would you describe yourself to people in 30 seconds? So gun to your head.
I think I'm a madman, first of all. My daughters will describe me as the most compassionate, caring murderer that they've ever met.
I love it.
Where I'm an elitist in the sense that I really appreciate the finest things in life.
Yeah.
But I have learned and become very accustomed to being in the most horrible, horrendous depravity of human conditions imaginable.
Yeah.
And I can coexist in either one of these worlds.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's like James Bond, that's kind of hairy, not attractive, built like a troll, and really good at violence.
That's awesome. I love that description. I can't wait. I got she just turned 4 months old. We just have our first kid, and I can't wait until she could like actually know kind of what I've been doing all my life and just have the words to be able to describe like who her dad is. I think that would be so amazing. So I think that's awesome. Yeah. I mean, it's just so cool to me. And I'll go back, like you said, just reminded me of like the Hard to Kill show. Like you just put yourself in really shitty positions and really shitty situations and kind of show people that, you know, how to survive this stuff. But I think it's kind of cool because I talk about career transitions. I got out of the Navy after 9 years to pursue some other things, and I'm honestly still in the pursuit of that. That's like one of the things that I kind of see with, you know, I listed off this like plethora of things that you're doing, but you're always like doing something, and I'm always like shifting my trajectory, shifting and pivoting, and kind of just, I have my end goals, and I know I want to help myself and my family and those around me, but I find that I have these end goals and I'm constantly like doing something else. Like just, it's always a different vehicle to get me where I'm going. I mean, do you have, and if you could share with me and share with us, like, do you have like this vision of where you want your life to go? Even I'm like going all the way back to when you were first practicing MMA and competing before college And before all of that, did you have like some kind of vision where you wanted your life to go?
I think, I don't know if we might be doing potato in like vernacular, but I've always had a purpose.
Sure.
I've always known what my purpose was.
Yeah.
Very early on, I identified what I should be doing for my whole entire life. You know, like when, you know, you're 18 years old in a minivan full of like 15 missionaries rolls over and kills half of them, and you're an 18-year-old firefighter EMT, and you're like, I can do this.
Yeah.
And you're like, let me see if I can save these other 7. You know, going back even before that, where your dad's like, hey, can you sneak into this parking garage and get the license plate number and everything out of the glove box of this drug dealer? Those were very normal things for me.
Yeah, wait.
So I don't know if
I'm not familiar with that story either. That's crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. So I've never had like a vision of, okay, here's my 5-year plan, my 10-year plan, my 20-year plan.
Yeah.
It's more of like, this is what God put me on this planet to do.
Yeah.
And if I do anything else, I'm not punished for it, but I just got to do what I'm supposed to be doing. And I know what that is. I don't share that with people because it's a pretty close thing. You see all the stuff that I do around it.
Yeah.
That looks really crazy.
Yeah.
And maybe people figure it out, but like, I know what my purpose is and I'm trying to fulfill that.
Yeah, I think that's great. That's a great answer. And one of the things I pulled from that is 4 little words. You said, I can do this. Like from the beginning, you had a purpose and you're like, I can do this. And I'm always telling people, you got this. You got this. Well, like, if you want to do it, you got it. You just got to kind of figure out what your why is, what that purpose is. And like you said, whatever your vernacular is or whatever your mission, your vision in life, try to figure that out first. Try to figure out your why and then do things that are going to get you there quicker or whatever speed you want. Just go forward and do them. And I think that speaks, you said even when you were a kid, even before that, you pulled it all the way back. But it just reminds me of when I first started to listen to you speak and you said, you know, when you joined the military, I think it probably was Joe Rogan asking you about like when you joined. And I think you said, you know, 9/11 had happened and you walked down there and there's a whole line across the block, around the block. And that's why you wanted to join. And that's a lot of the reasons I wanted to join as well. And you just know. Sometimes you just know. And I think one of the things that I see, this is conversation number 72, so this is 72 weeks of talking to people, 72 guests, and some people are like you. Some people do know from an early age. You said, let's take it way back. And some people can't take it way back. But one of the questions I get is, I don't know. And frankly, I'll tell you, Tim, I didn't know until my later 20s that I wanted to do things. And frankly, even more specifically, I'm not 100% sure at 31 if I 100% know what that is, but I know that I want to have that growth mindset and I want to be a better person and I want to help people. Hence why I've been doing a podcast for 1.5 years and speaking to people like you that go out there and let's just get it done and they know they can do this. You had your vision, your purpose from such a young age. Is there anything maybe you can think of that would, if somebody was like me, like I said, not to my late 20s, did I know kind of what I wanted to do and I started pursuing that vision, that purpose? Is there anything maybe you could say to somebody that was like, Tim, this is cool, man. Like you had it, you kind of knew what you're doing for a while, but I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know where to go. What do you say to a person like that?
Yeah, like, journey's half the problem. Like while I know what my purpose is, if you look at the journey's full of pain and suffering and sacrifice. And I think where a lot of people fail or fall off the wagon or lose their resolve to continue on their purpose or their vision, it's when things get hard.
Yeah.
And what you have to realize and you have to accept is that that's good. You know, that the pain and the suffering, the sacrifice, the selflessness, like sometimes those are just necessary elements of the process. Even if you don't fully know what your vision or your purpose or what you're supposed to be doing, if you quit early on, you'll never find out what that is.
You're damn right.
Even if you know exactly what it is and you quit, you'll never see it realized. So in either case, even if you 100% know what it is or you don't, you'll never find it or you'll never complete it unless you have the resolve, the discipline, the focus, the determination to just continue on.
Yeah.
Or quit and live a life of bland, lukewarm mediocrity.
Yeah. I love that answer. And the way I see it, and I've talked about it a lot in my solo podcast, and I say this almost every single podcast, is if you want that If you want to be comfortable and you're okay with that comfortability in your life, that's cool. I support you. That's fine. As long as you can take care of yourself and your family, like, that's cool. But if you choose to have a growth mindset or whatever synonym you want to, substitute in there, then yeah, if you quit, you're absolutely done. And I think it's awesome that you were able to figure that out, or at least, I don't even think it was like a figuring it out. You just knew. Like, you were just acting. And I think it's cool to like see you as an example for that. And then for me, for the listeners, like, late 20s again, here I am saying it for the third time now, early 30s. And kind of like Tim said, is he knew it earlier. I knew it a little bit later. But what I'm not doing is what you said, is I'm not stopping. Because I know that if I don't record another podcast, or if I don't read another book, listen to a podcast, if I don't have these conversations with people like yourself that are so like impassioned and want to do what you're doing and always looking to like better yourself and like just be a good human being and be a good father and just be all those great things. I know if I choose not to do that, then I'm done. Like, I'm absolutely done right then and there. So no, I think that's a great answer. And I always like asking people kind of what that would be, because I get asked that a lot. And I think it's really hard to answer, but I do know that one thing. And if you quit, you're absolutely done. And I know a lot of the things you do are about helping other people. And I like to ask the question, why do you like helping other people? Why do you like showing that all this is possible?
Man, think about the stuff I've seen, right? Think about friends. When I say friends, you appreciate, but a lot of people don't understand what a friend means to people like us.
Sure.
So a friend to me is, imagine looking at a tree for like a week at a time, where there's nothing else. There's no other, you're not like doing things. I'm literally sitting here looking at the back of a tree in the worst imaginable place on the planet.
Sure.
And you learn everything about that person, right? You learn about what they sound like when they sleep, what they smell like when they're scared, what they eat, what they don't like to eat, how they really feel about their spouse. Which kid is their favorite? All the things that nobody really knows about somebody else.
Yeah.
That's the degree in which we know some of the people that we work with.
Sure.
And then you add heat to that, where then gunfire starts. You get to see a real snapshot of who this person is. And then you see opportunities for compassion and empathy. Where are they going to shoot this guy that's running away from them? Are they not? Are they going to treat this civilian that was in the battle space and is a casualty of this disgusting thing of radical terrorism? And you get learn more and more and more about these people as you spend years and years and years with them. Like, that's friend to me.
Yeah.
I've seen that friend die. I've seen that friend lose their arms and their legs. I've seen that friend in a vehicle directly in front of me just disintegrate. All of that has to be for a purpose. All of that has to be for a reason, right? So if I'm going to, let's get back to quitting. If I'm just going to quit, I'm going to be done. Like, all of the memories and all of the sacrifice of those people are lost.
Sure, absolutely.
On Memorial Day, I said, if you're going to really try and celebrate Memorial Day, why don't you try and be an American that was worth dying for? Like, so what does that mean? So that means, like, you have to. It's a very broad thing, right? Like, there's lots of different ways that can be realized and fulfilled. And for me, it's trying to do everything I possibly can with the time that I have left on this earth to make their sacrifices worth something. When I said it had to have been worth something, all the things that we did, all of the sometimes horrible things that we did, all of the friends that I've lost, like, if I just quit now, it's over. Like, there's nothing to be gained further. So the reason I inspire, the reason I try to encourage is just for that reason. I want people to realize their full potential. I want this America that we have the only way that can be realized is by the individual reaching their full potential. Like, the reason that we became the strongest, most powerful, most successful country on the planet is because of the individual, right? It was because, like, go back to 1776, there's a bunch of people being like, this sucks. We're going to make this better. And only the strong survived, the strong individual. So the reason is because I believe in this. I believe in this thing. Yeah. I'm just trying to make it happen.
I love that. You said so many things. You brought up purpose again, which is great. And then sacrifices. And honestly realizing full potential for people. And that was one of the things I think I said to you in the beginning, or maybe off camera, is one of the things that I notice a lot with people is they don't realize their full potential. And I know for myself, speaking from personal experiences, I set my goals really low. I sell myself short. Even going back to a more personal point, many points that you brought up, and thank you for sharing that. But I think about, the friends that I've lost as well out forward, and I think about the things that I do on a daily basis, like on a literal daily basis, to carry their memories on. Because you're right, if you stop doing that, it's done. And it's just, you have to keep the memory alive. And it reminds me of the thing we do every single year in August. So we're out here in DC, and we do a 31-mile ruck for 31 heroes in August 6, 2011. So that's just a whole bunch of suck. And yeah. But it's amazing, and it's something. I just wanted to give that as a personal example of things that we just do in our lives. Me, my wife, even go out and do those things to keep the memories alive. And I think that's like such a unique and powerful example of why you choose to help people, is because it starts with all those things that you've experienced in your life and that I've experienced in my life. And we choose to keep them on and pay it forward and help other people and show them that they can overcome and that they can realize their full potentials as well.
Amen.
Yeah, man. So we have so many things that Mr. Tim Kennedy does, and I also love talking about the biggest obstacles in your life. What is some of the toughest things that you've had to overcome? Now, I feel like you, being you, that this is probably almost a daily occurrence, a weekly occurrence, or anything. So maybe pick one of the things that you've done, whether it be entrepreneur, whether it be, UFC fighter, Green Beret, I don't care, TV host. What is one of the things that maybe was more defining than the others, a huge obstacle that you had to overcome, and maybe help you learn more about who you are today?
Oh, man. So these really suck, because you could almost narrow down how I choose to do something because of how hard it is. Like, I will pick an activity or a career, a new endeavor, because of how hard it is and like how much it will push me to want to quit or not finish.
Yeah.
So I seek those things out. Like my workouts, they're designed to all the things that I suck at.
Okay. Which is interesting, because I hear a lot of people go like, well, I don't want to spend time on the stuff I suck at. Just like I want to get good at the things that I'm already, I want to get better at the things that I'm good at. But you're saying you want to spend time on the things you suck at.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I already know what I'm good at. I don't need to do more of that. I want to push the limit of I can't pull 600 pounds off the floor, and I can't run a 5-minute mile. Could I, if I just focused on doing a 5-minute mile, could I do that? Absolutely. If I focused on just powerlifting.
Sure.
Could I be able to pull, 600 pounds off the floor? Absolutely. But I don't want to be good at just that one thing.
Yeah.
Right. I want to be able to run like a 540 mile and pull like 475 off the floor.
Sure.
I want to be able to shoot something that is 2 miles away, and then you hand me a competition pistol and I go, shoot in a competition and I'm on the podium. Like, those are vastly different things that I'm trying to perfect both of them. So like I spend most of my time on things that I'm not good at. And like business, if I know what we do well. So if we continued just focusing on the things that we do well, where's our opportunity for growth?
Sure. Absolutely.
Like I want the business to be more successful. So I'd rather focus on the things that we aren't executing at a high level, bring that up. And then of course, everything else rises.
Okay. I like that. I'm going to ponder on that too. Ponder on that very hard. I love the importance of self-education as well, which pretty much we've covered a little bit as well. You're always on the go. You're always moving. You're always doing all these things. You're always trying to improve.
I can't even sit down and do this podcast.
You can't even sit down. For everybody listening, we're running around. I don't know. Are we doing laps around the house or something? I think it's awesome. Like, I think this is a first.
That's exactly what I'm doing.
This is a first.
I'm fixing things as I go.
This is amazing. No, and I think that comes from like the mindset of somebody that's an operator, at least in the military. Like, it was full body function at all times. Like, if I went out there and I was just a good runner, I would suck. I would not be able to even complete the first part of the infill, and I would just get fired right there. But if I was just this big hulky pulling 600 pounds, then I would also suck and I would not be able to climb up the mountain. So I think that's just something that we got to do, being in that position. So I think that's pretty funny. Self-education is superbly important to me. I think it coincides with the growth mindset. How does someone like you that does all of these things again, which I think is super unique, that's awesome to talk about all these things, and how do you continue your self-education at all times at all these things? Like if you obviously choose to have this growth mindset, so how do you like keep yourself like on the knowledge forefront?
Hoyler Gracie yesterday or this weekend gave me another degree on my black belt. Right?
I saw that. It's amazing. So, congrats. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm a world champion, right? I'm like a pretty high level black belt.
Yes.
So I'm good, right? I could be done. Like I don't need to get any better. No, it's insane, right? To say that out loud, like, oh, okay, I could stop practicing, or I could not look for areas of improvement.
It doesn't register.
That sounds like a crazy person.
Yeah, it doesn't register.
Like just in this one example of jiu-jitsu, even though like a lot of people would consider me a master of that thing, like I'm an eternal student. Like I'm going to go and look at Gordon Ryan and try and pick. I got to roll with a 17-year-old this weekend that blew my mind at the things that he was trying to do. A 17-year-old kid. I've been doing jiu-jitsu for 35 years. And I was like, this kid's amazing. Why don't you teach me, 17-year-old? Your balls have barely dropped. You're a junior in high school, about to start your senior year. Talk to me. Teach me. Train me. Because it's new. So like,
love that.
The eternal pursuit of perfection is only realized through an approach from humility, a position of knowing that you don't know everything and that you have to know more.
Absolutely. No, I love that. And that's an awesome point about the 17-year-old kid. Not only is it hilarious, but I think it's awesome because I've had kids on here from a kid, teenagers, to well into their 50s or 60s. And I just think it's great to have that mindset. Like, I don't give a shit how old you are. Like, you've been doing it for, like you said, 3 decades plus. And you still go in there with the mindset of, hey, obviously there's something I could learn from this kid. And I just think that's great. And I think that's like a key takeaway from so many things that we've already talked about. And another thing that you mentioned that I love is humility. It's hard to practice that. I think especially when you're the best of the best in so many things. I think even in just one thing, it's really hard for people to practice that. I mean, how does one maintain that? Because I know I've come in, especially in the careers that we've had, I know a lot of people in my personal life that just didn't really, they weren't the most humble of guys. But I mean, why? I asked you why
you got a 17-year-old kid out here. This is what I'm looking at.
It's humbling, man. Look at that. That is awesome. What is that? What are we looking at there for everybody? What is he driving?
My 4-year-old on a 4-wheeler riding through my backyard.
I was gonna say it looks pretty awesome. The dog's chasing the 4-year-old on the big wheel back there. Yeah. But I guess you're right. That is like, I mean, that's a great way to practice humility. A 17-year-old just, giving it.
I think the vast majority of people are gonna again try and do the things that they're good at, right? Like they always want to look good. They want to practice and rehearse the things that they are already mastered. Like that doesn't make sense to me. But I think that's the normal thing to do is stay in your comfort zone. Do what you're good at. Like those are things that you hear people say all the time. Yeah. Where I'm like, I'm trying to find things I can fail at. Right? I'm trying to find an activity or a training partner that will break me.
No, I love that. You got to. That's I think if you subscribe to any type of growth mentality, you have to. You absolutely have to. You have to have the humility. You have to know that anybody can teach you something. I don't know if literally anybody can teach you something, but I think if you approach life like that, with that mentality that you're not above anybody, that potentially somebody could teach you something, then you'd be doing that. Because maybe if you didn't have that mindset, you wouldn't even been, grappling with somebody that was 17 years old and hadn't been doing it that while. So I think that's great. And in conclusion, I'm curious, we talked about so many great bits of advice, life, your history, and more. And is there anything that maybe has been on your mind lately? You've maybe come to, you've been doing all these things for a long time, but is there something now that you're just like, wow, I can't believe I'm figuring this out now? Or maybe just something you want to leave us with today? I'm just curious because you've been doing a lot of things for a long time And I'm wondering, like, we're talking about always learning from new people, learning from young people, old people. Is there something, I mean, you learned something from a 17-year-old. I think that's awesome. I think awesome that you put yourself in that position. But I think if you subscribe and I subscribe to that mentality, like, we still got decades more of learning new things. So I'm curious if there's maybe something in your life that just trickles in and goes, hey.
Yeah. So we're in a pretty volatile time in our country.
Yeah.
Where it feels like people are really far apart.
Yes. Yes, it does.
And the arguments or the things that that are arguing about are really nuanced, complicated things, whether it's abortion or socialism, the Second Amendment. You know, I think people on either side of the conversations have never had the opportunity to experience something that would give them a different perception. So I'm a hard two-way, shall not be infringed on type guy. But I have conversations with people that have serious different views, and trying to find middle ground with them takes compassion.
Yes.
And it takes understanding, and it takes patience. So we'll use pro-life with staying apolitical. So this is not, I'm not in support of either one of these concepts. That's
Absolutely.
not what I'm doing here. I'm just using it as an example. A lot of times where people are, okay, I'm pro-life, birth starts at conception. Okay, cool. Agree with both these things. And anything after that is murder. It's like, okay, I get all that. Now you go to the opposite end of the spectrum, where it is somebody's from a poor demographic, low socioeconomic existence their entire life, no father figure. They're now pregnant with no father in the situation. Maybe they already have a kid at home.
Yeah.
They are already starving. Maybe even the consent of this pregnancy. Like, these are all things that me and all of my friends and all of my family have never experienced.
Yeah.
But I'm supposed to have an opinion about what this woman's supposed to do out of my ignorant position.
Yeah.
So
that's a good point.
The only time that we can have compassion and empathy is through experience. Now, I hope that nobody has to experience that. But the truth of the matter is, people do experience that.
Yeah.
So what I've learned at this period of my life is I'm ignorant about a lot of things. Yeah. There's a lot of things that I have never experienced, and I hope I will never experience. I hope that my children will never experience them. I hope that little fella sitting on top of that mountain in his four-wheeler, that he'll never have to experience them either.
Yeah.
That also gives me the realization that because I don't experience them, I also don't know about them. Now, I know injecting myself with heroin is probably a bad idea. Like, there are some things that I don't need to firsthand experience for me to have a better understanding of them. But I can't pass judgment on somebody else that has experienced those and about what they should
do. Yeah, yeah.
At this point, the only thing that I'm learning is, like, I'm ignorant about a bunch of stuff, and I need to have more compassion.
I love how you explain that, and I wish I knew the quote right now. Maybe you can tell me here, but they said something along of, all I know is that I know nothing. And I wish I could remember who that was right now, but that's kind of what it seemed like to me, and I really appreciate you diving into it on such a level like that. And it's so difficult to have that compassion, to have that understanding of other people's situations, and so I've liked asking that question because it's so interesting with everybody's different experiences in life. Like, what conclusions do we come to? And I think if you have that mindset at least, and then you speak with other people that may not agree with you, I think that's important. That's kind of like the mental equivalent of doing things you're not good at or you don't want to do. You're speaking with people, you're challenging your mental fortitude, mental aptitude, and that's crucial for a growth mindset. So I really appreciate it. Where can everybody find you today if they don't know where to find you?
Like, all the social media stuff is Tim Kennedy MMA. So on Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat, Facebook, all those. If you're wanting to hang out with me, you pretty much got to go to Cheap Dog Response and come to one of the courses.
Yeah, I saw that. That looks fun.
Fighting stuff.
That looks so fun. Yeah, I was checking that out. That is incredible. I miss that shit. It's been it'll be a year in August, and I just really miss doing that stuff. So I got to do it on my own now.
Do it every day.
God, I'm like super jealous of that. I'm super jealous. I got to interject my situation or interject myself into the situations that I just suck at right now. You're right. I got to do the things that I'm not good at. Tim, my friend, thank you so much for being here with me today and giving me a good chunk of your day today. And I'm a very curious person, and I like asking these questions, and I like learning, and I like challenging the way I feel and the way I think. So I'm very much appreciative of it. So thank you.
My pleasure.
All right. Have a good day. See ya.